Hello, friends. How are you all? Hope all of you are fine and safe at your places. And me all are busy in studies too, no? Exam is going to come. Due to this pandemic, exam pattern and the source are changed. Are you informed about that by your reputed college or institutions? So, I think some of you think that it's tough now to attempt the exam, how the questions will be asked, and how we should study. So many questions may be coming in your mind without giving any invitations. No? So, today I am here with a solution to your queries. No, no, don't think that I am going to give you a bundle of MCQs. It's different method and very easy for all of you. It will help you to memorize the concepts without any confusions. May all of you may be knowing about the pattern, but let me tell you once again that according to the recent circular, total 60 marks exam will be conducted. Out of that, 30 marks will be for MCQ, in which 15 questions will be asked, each containing 2 marks duration, and the duration of the time will be 30 minutes, and other remaining marks of 30 marks will be for of descriptive type, where 3 questions will be asked, each of 10 marks, and the duration for the descriptive will be 1 hour. So your total exam will be of 1.5 hour. Then, now the main point, that is what I am going to discuss in this video. So today I have prepared important questions of contract 1, which will cover the whole syllabus, and it will be very easy for you to attempt both MCQ and descriptive. So now, without wasting our time, let's start with the lecture. Our first important question is that define contract act and discuss the essential elements of valid contracts. This same question may arise in different varieties. Types means this question is what? Define contract act and discuss the essential elements of valid contract. So, the similar question to this will be that law of contract is not the whole of law of agreement nor whole of law of obligation. Discuss enumerating the essentials of valid contract. And the next similar to this question may be the parties to a contract is a essence make the law for themselves. And the next may be what is the nature and object of a contract. So all these types of questions will consist of similar answer. No difference is there. There's just the nature and the type of asking the question is different, but the meaning behind these questions is the same. So what you will write and what you have understood from this question is that first of all you will write the meaning of contract. What is contract? So a contract is an agreement between which is made between two or more parties, which is the law will enforce. A contract is an agreement made between two or more parties, which the law will enforce. That is the meaning of the contract. And what is the definition of contract? According to Section 2, Clause H of the Indian Contract Act 1872 says that an agreement enforceable by law is a contract. Means in our day-to-day life we have many contracts. We do contracts from our morning itself. So what is the contract? We buy newspapers. We have a habit to read newspapers. We have a habit to drink milk tea daily. For that we will buy a milk packet. While buying a milk packet, we borrow the milk packet, but in return we pay some consideration in terms of money. So similarly, According to Indian Contract Act, an agreement enforceable by law is a contract. Means the contract should consist a legal intention. The object should be legal. There should not be any illegal method or illegal object behind doing the contract. If the contract is lawful and accepted by law, then it is a contract. And our next definition is of Salmond. So according to Salmond, a contract is an agreement creating and defining obligations between the parties. Means in an agreement, legal terms have been put up. Means legal intentions are given to the contract. If any of the parties to the contract of any of the party breaks the terms, the laws put in the contract, then the another party can sue the opponent to the court and ask for compensation. So it is said that all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent, means no coercion or no indulgence or under influence or any forcefully or intentionally they have not signing the contract. They have a free mind, free consent. With free consent they are signing the contract, they have made the contract, then it is lawful. It should have lawful consideration and lawful object. There should not be any illegal intention behind the contract. And if there is a lawful object, free consent and lawful consideration, then the contract cannot be void. But if it is opposite to it, then it may be void. So there are some essential elements, means important elements to become a contract, an agreement. Means an agreement to develop into a contract, there are some important elements. So let's see what are the elements. Here I have given 9 elements which are very important for a valid contract. First is offer and acceptance, then intention to create legal relationship, third one is free consent, fourth one is lawful object, fifth one is lawful consideration, sixth one is competency of parties, seventh one is certainty, eighth is possibility of performance, and ninth is necessary of legal formalities. So let's start by clearing our doubts about these essential elements. So what is offer and acceptance? To constitute a contract, there must be an offer and acceptance of that offer. For a contract to come into existence, there should be an offer, means a proposal. Offer is equal to proposal. A proposal should be made, and the opponent party to whom the proposal is made, that proposee must accept the proposal. Then the contract came into existence. Then the offer and acceptance should relate to same thing in the same sense. The offer and acceptance means the legal intentions, means the intention behind the both parties should be the same. There should not be any misrepresentation of or any mistake of fact or mistake of law or any misunderstanding behind. They should not lack any knowledge. They should be lawful and knowledgeable about what they are doing and what they are signing the contract. Okay, there must be 2 or more persons to an agreement, because one person cannot enter into an agreement without himself. For signing into a contract, there should be 2 or more persons. One cannot sign, only one person cannot sign into an agreement. Second point is that essential element, intention to create legal relationship. The parties must have intention to create legal relationship among them means while building up a contract, the parties should have kept in mind if any of us break the terms or any conditions in the contract, then the other party can sue him to the court. So there should be a legal relationship. Formal relationship is not accepted in contract. There should be a legal relationship. Generally, the agreement of social, domestic, and political nature are not a contract. Means social, domestic, and political nature means in friendly relation or husband and wife relation. Yes, husband and wife relation is also a legal relation at some step, not always. If there is a legal relationship between any of them, and there is a legal intention, if any of us break the law, then we will sue against him, then it will be a legal contract. Third point is, if there is no such intention to create a legal relationship among the parties, there is no contract between them. For a contract, there should be a legal relation between both of them. So for this essential element, there is a famous case, that is of Balfour versus Balfour. It is a case of year 1919. What are the facts of this case? A husband promised to pay his wife a household allowance of L 30 pounds every month. Later, the parties separated and the husband failed to pay the amount. The wife sued for allowance. Here, what is the main case is no. It is an English case. In this case, Mr. Balfour, he was posted in Ceylon and he promised his wife living in England to pay her a monthly allowance. So, as long as she could not go to Ceylon for some reasons of her health issues. When Mr. Balfour failed to honor his promise and she filed a suit against him, the court then held that she could not enforce the obligation, as from the nature of the contract it was clear that no intention existed to give rise to a legal obligation. It was merely a domestic arrangement. It was held that Mr. and Mrs. Balfour went for an holidays in England, and then Mr. Balfour was posted to Ceylon for his job, and he was about to return to Ceylon, but at that time his wife means Mrs. Balfour felt ill and she was not about to travel according to the doctor. So she was supposed to stay in England, and her husband means Mr. Balfour is supposed to come back to Ceylon to continue his job. So Mr. Balfour in their communication promised to Mrs. Balfour that till she gets perfect, her illness is cured, he will send her 30 pounds per month. So, and this was an usual talk between them. No any legal intention was included in that. And afterwards Mr. Balfour came back to Ceylon and he used to send 30 pounds per month. But after some time, they get some problems in their relations, and due to that Mr. Balfour failed to pay 30 pounds per month, and for that Mrs. Balfour filed a suit against him to the court for the compensation and maintenance. So the court held that agreements such as there were outside the realm of contract altogether, because there is no intention to create legal relationship among the parties. So I think you all have understood what is the case of Mr. and Mrs. Balfour. Then the third point is of free consent. What is a free consent? The consent of the parties to the agreement must be free and genuine. Free consent is said to be absent if the agreement is induced by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake of fact or mistake of law. There should be a free consent in contract, otherwise it is void. Then the fourth point is lawful object. The object of the agreement must be lawful. In other words, it means the object must not be illegal, immoral, or opposed to public policy. There should be a legal and lawful manner of the object. If an agreement suffers from any legal flaw, it would not be enforceable by law. Fifth point is lawful consideration. What is lawful consideration? An agreement to be enforceable by law must be supported by consideration, means something in written. What is consideration? An advantage or benefit moving from one party to another. In other words, that is something in return. Consideration means an advantage or benefit moving from one party to another, or in other words, something in return. The agreement is enforceable only when both the parties give something and get something in return. When both the parties give something or get something in return. The consideration must be real and lawful. Sixth point is competency of parties, that is capacity of parties. The parties to a contract should be capable of entering into a valid contract. Every person is competent to contract if he is the age of majority, he is of sound mind, and he is not disqualified from contracting by any law. It means that he is the age of majority, means according to female it is majority age is 18, and according to male majority age is 21. Means the person competent to contract should be majority, means 18 or 21, female or male. Okay, he is of sound mind, means he is known about what he is doing. He should not be lunatic or drunkard or any other thing. He should be bothered about what he is going to do or what he is doing, about what the contract has been done or is being to be done. And he is not disqualified from contracting by law, means court and law should not be taken any objection on the person, or he must not be at any time be disqualified by having any contract. The flaw in capacity to contract may arise from minority, lunacy, idiocy, drunkenness. Means he is of sound mind, no, that in opposite to it, that the person should not be of minority, he should not be lunatic, idiocy or drunkard. He should be in a bothered mind state. And our seventh point is certainty. The meaning of the agreement must be certain and not to be vague or indefinite. The meaning of the agreement must be certain and not indefinite, means the meaning of the agreement must be clear. If it is vague or indefinite, it is not possible to ascertain its meaning, means it is not possible to identify its meaning. For example, A agrees to sell B 100 tons of oil. There is nothing whatever to show what kind of oil intended. The agreement is void for uncertainty. Means A wanted to sell B oil, but which oil? Coconut oil, Castor oil, olive oil, or which oil? Engine oil. So the we oil means specified oil. Specified things should be mentioned. What you are supposed to sell or supposed to borrow, the thing specified should be mentioned in the contract. 8th point is possibility of performance. The terms of an agreement should be capable of performance. The agreement to do an act impossible if it itself is void and cannot be enforceable. The terms of an agreement should be capable of performance. The terms of a contract should be capable of performance. They should be able of performing the contract. The terms which we are mentioning in the agreement means we should do this or we should do that. What in written? The things we have written or we have decided, that things should be come into force in reality. They should not be imaginary. Okay. For example, A agrees with B to put life into B's dead wife. The agreement is void because it is not possible of performance. No, means B's wife have been died and A have decided to agree to put his life into B's dead. Means A will put his life into B's dead body. Is it possible? Never. And our 9th point is necessary legal formalities. According to Indian Contract Act, oral or written are perfectly valid. Orally or written in written are perfectly valid. There is no provision for contracting being written, registered and stamped. Sorry for disturbance. So what is necessary legal formalities? According to Indian Contract Act, oral or written are perfectly valid. There is no provision for contracting being written, registered and stamped. But if it is required by law that it should comply with legal formalities, and then it should be complied with all legal or necessary formalities for its enforceability. Means there is no provision that the contract should be always legal, means always in written, always registered, or the contract which we have done that should be stamped up. It's for that there is no provision for that. But if it is required by law, means if law demands that the contract should be in that legal formalities, then it should be compiled with all the legal formalities which is necessary for its enforceability. So I hope that all of you have understood what I have explained, and please go through this. It will be so beneficial for you. I will upload further question within 2 days. So please watch, subscribe my channel for upcoming videos. Please press the bell icon and accept the all videos, and please share if you like and have a like. It will encourage me to upload more videos for you. It is the most happiest part for me if you like my videos. Till now nobody have given me any like or nothing. That is not satisfied. I am struggling here for giving you best of my part. So please have a like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much, and if you have any queries you can ask me in comment box, or thank you so much.